What is up, everybody? Piscean here to teach you progressed potentials and essentially astrological progression. It's not my first time going into detail on this subject matter, but I am going to use my own natal chart to help you understand this. All right. So the following analysis applies a doctrine. Before we even get started on the preamble and the method, please subscribe, like, comment, share if you dare and care. With peace and love. All right. So we're going to examine secondary progressions. All right. It's a symbolic unfolding of the natal promise through the day for a year key to this specific native, i.e., yours truly, Piscean X. So the moment of examination is May 16th of 2026, corresponding to a progressed age of 21 years, 2 months, and 18 days. Both Western tropical longitudes and Vedic sidereal Lahiri equivalents are furnished to afford a dual lens upon unfolding destiny. The interpretation integrates fixed star Purans, yogi sensitive points, Aruda Lagna, and a choreography of progressed stations, ingresses, and the progressed lunation cycle. The tone is deliberately elevated. Our faculty holds that the progressed chart does not describe fate in fatalistic terms, but rather reveals the precise timing of the soul's interior metamorphosis, which external events faithfully mirror. So, we're going to start with part 1, the natal architecture. So the birth chart establishes a core signature of a visionary compassion and service. Individual has a stellium of Sun, Venus, and Uranus in Pisces, occupying the 11th house, tropical, marking a life whose purpose is woven through collective idealism, friendships of rare spiritual quality, and an art born of boundary-dissolving empathy. Venus at 0 degrees 02 Pisces, exalted in both systems and ruling the Taurus ascendant, makes the native a magnet for beauty and resources, yet demands she learn the difference between sacrifice and self-annihilation. Moon is in Libra in the 6th house, with retrograde Jupiter in the same sign and house, indicates a deep emotional need to perfect the crafts of daily life, to serve and to find equilibrium and partnership. Retrograde condition of Jupiter makes the native her own guru. Wisdom is not imported but excavated through health crises or work challenges that force a revaluation of faith. Tension between ambitious Mars and Capricorn in the 9th, opposing Saturn retrograde in Cancer in the 3rd, creates a dynamic that our faculty terms the patriarch's knot. The push for worldly authority and intellectual dominion, Mars squared Jupiter, opposite Saturn, is checked by an inward, emotionally saturated lineage of thought. Often a parental or ancestral voice that must be consciously deconstructed before the native can speak with full authority. Saturn's trine to the Pisces stellium, however, promises that discipline and time will transform this knot into a ladder. Pluto in Sag in the 8th, conjunct the part of fortune. It suggests an initiatory life, right? And when we talk about the part of fortune, so people don't get confused, I just mean your 10th house cusp, really. It's kind of in regards to 10th, but some would argue and say that's the midheaven, so. But anyways, the part of fortune basically suggests an initiatory life when it's conjunct Pluto and Sag in the 8th. Psychological descent and rebirth cycles directly govern material and spiritual fortune. All right, Rahu in Aries in the 12th house reveals that the soul's ultimate trajectory is not toward relationship harmony, Libra Ketu, but into courageous self-sourced interior solitude, the pioneer of the inner planes. Fixed stars anchor the angles, so the ascendant receives the light of Algol. And that sounds crazy, the light of Algol, what do you mean? Like, usually the star is like the worst star ever, oh my gosh. Well, it's transmuted feminine power, and Aldebaran is integrity that leads to eminence, while Regulus on the 5th cusp promises creative royalty, provided the native avoids the trap of egoic revenge. The Yogi point at Libra, 29 degrees 52, precisely conjunct the natal vertex, is a signature of a destiny unlocked through partnership encounters that feel fated, especially those arising in work, health, and service contexts, the 6th house. Now let's go over progress coordinates specifically for the day May 16th of 2026. So all positions reflect the secondary progress horoscope cast in the tropical zodiac, with Nirana equivalents given for the Vedic eye. Significant shifts from the natal state are annotated. So, we have our planet point, progressed tropical, progressed sidereal, and faculty annotation. So the sun is at 29 degrees 14 Pisces. That's the progressed tropical. Progressed sidereal is 5 degrees 18 Pisces. Anaretic degree. Terminal phase of a 30-year Piscean cycle. Moon is at 16 degrees 42 Cancer, progressed tropical. 22 degrees 46 Gemini, progressed sidereal. Conjunct the fixed star Sirius, activating the natal third house. Mercury, progressed tropical, 8 degrees 31 Aries. 14 degrees 35 Pisces, progressed sidereal. Ingress into fire, direct pioneering mind. Venus, 25 degrees 24 Pisces, progressed tropical. 1 degrees 28 Pisces, progressed sidereal. It's exalted, approaching the anaretic threshold. Mars, 0 degrees 32 Aquarius, and this is progressed tropical. I'll just say our PT. And then our progressed sidereal, 6 degrees 36 Capricorn. So fresh ingress into Aquarius, action turns collective. Jupiter in retrograde at 16 degrees 41 Libra, progressed tropical, PT, and progressed sidereal is 22 degrees 45 Virgo. So still retrograded, natally, of course, interior growth through service. All right, Saturn, retrograde, now direct, 19 degrees 48 Cancer, progressed tropical, 25 degrees 52 Gemini, progressed sidereal, stationing direct, the singular developmental pivot of the early 20s. Uranus, 7 degrees 49 Pisces, progressed tropical, 13 degrees 53 Aquarius, progressed sidereal, gentle progression, the slow revolution. Neptune, 16 degrees 31 Aquarius, progressed tropical, 22 degrees 35 Capricorn, progressed sidereal, spiritual ideas assuming structural form. Pluto is at 24 degrees 33 Sagittarius, progressed tropical, and progressed sidereal, it's 0 degrees 37 Sag, unceasing deep inquiry. Rahu, progressed tropicals, 22 degrees 14 Aries, progressed sidereals, 28 degrees 18 Pisces, karmic pressure toward independent action. Ascendant, progressed tropical is at 15 degrees 05 Gemini, progressed sidereal is 21 degrees 09 Taurus. Persona shifted to communicator, student, connector. And midheaven, progressed tropical is 20 degrees 39 Aquarius, progressed sidereal 26 degrees 43 Capricorn. The public path electrified by progressive ideals. Thematic analysis of current progressions. Let's talk about the 29 degrees Pisces sun and the end of a dream. So the progressed sun's occupation of the final degree of Pisces is a demarcation our faculty holds in special regard. It is the anaretic consummation, a 3-year window in which the entire subjective architecture of the self, built since birth around Piscean themes of unity, artistry, and surrender, is simultaneously illuminated and rendered obsolete. The native experiences a heightened sensitivity that can manifest as creative genius or profound existential drift. The transit of the progressed sun over the approaching Aries cusp, occurring within approximately 1 year, marks not an evolutionary step, but a full metamorphosis. The dissolution of the old identity makes space for a self that will act with unprecedented autonomy. The faculty advises a native to actively ritualize ascending. Closure around certain friendships, artistic pursuits, or escapist tendencies will free enormous vital force. Saturn's direct station. The resolution of the patriarch's knot. So Saturn in Cancer, retrograde from birth until now, stationed direct at approximately at age 21.2, precisely the current moment. In the progressed horoscope, a planet station is a calendar event of the soul. So for this native, Saturn's apparent backward motion corresponded to an extended period of inner rebuilding, a revisiting of early familial conditioning, deep emotional inhibition, and a search for a sense of home that could withstand the pressure of memory. The direct station signals that the labor of internal reassessment is complete. From this point forward, the structures of Saturn can be built outwardly. the native will begin to establish a literal or metaphorical home. I literally just moved out like a few months ago, set protective boundaries with family that were previously too guilt-ridden, to enforce and publish or defend her emotional truth. This release is amplified by progressed moon's conjunction to Sirius, promising that written and spoken words can carry the weight of this new authority. The Mars ingress into Aquarius and career trajectory. Progressed Mars crossing into Aquarius shifts the engine of ambition from the conservative, hierarchical drive of Capricorn into a field of social innovation. The natal Mars in the 9th house already committed the native to a lifelong quest for meaning. This progressed ingress, combined with the midheaven at 20 degrees Aquarius, conjunct natal Chiron, defines the emerging professional avatar. The native is being initiated into a role where she acts as a wounded healer within collective movements, technology, astrology, or social reform, or all of the above. The faculty notes that this ingress frequently coincides with a break from a traditional academic or career path in favor of a more experimental, self-directed pursuit. The native must trust the impulse to pioneer even without a map. Progressed lunation cycle. The progressed moon is at 16 degrees 42 Cancer, stands in a waxing gibbous phase relative to the progressed sun, approximately 107 degrees of separation. In the faculty's model, the waxing gibbous phase is a period of refinement and anticipation. The vision seated at the progressed new moon, which occurred when the native was roughly 15 years old, with sun and moon conjunct in early Aquarius, is now being honed through feedback, editing, and the development of technique. The progressed full moon, the phase of illumination and public manifestation, will arrive when the moon opposes the sun in about 3.5 years. All right? The current moment is therefore a crucial preparatory stage. The native is called to perfect her craft, seek mentorship in her daily work, 6th house moon, and gather the emotional resources that will be projected onto the public stage at the full moon in about 3 years. So I'd say about 2029, 2028, around these years, it'll be pretty big for me. The Venusian threshold in relational alchemy. Progressed Venus at 25 degrees 24 Pisces, exalted and approaching the anaretic degree, forms a square to the natal ascendant-descendant axes. Relational dynamics are not causal. They are the crucible in which the native self-worth is being finalized. This Venus prepares to enter Aries within the year, presaging a shift from all-encompassing, sometimes boundaryless love to a fierier, more self-assertive mode of relating. The concurrent conjunction of progressed Jupiter to the natal vertex in the 6th house confirms that a relationship of fated quality, possibly originating in a workplace, healing, or service context, is integral to this chapter's unfoldment. Gemini ascension in a mercurial self. So the progressed ascendant is at 15 degrees Gemini, and recasts the native's approach to the world. Fixed, steady Taurus rising has given way to a mutable, curious, and communicative mask. The native is perceived as more youthful, intellectually quick, and versatile. This is supported by progressed Mercury's arrival in Aries for the tropical chart, which provides the native with a bold, unfiltered mental edge. The faculty draws attention to a significant tension. The deep, watery soul, natal Pisces stellium, must now express itself through a gust of air and fire. The integration takes the form of writing, teaching, or building a network of kindred minds. All of the above, I'm doing all of the above. Over-identification with the adaptable persona risks scattering the profound emotional resources of the core. The native must learn to use Gemini curiosity as a vehicle for the Piscean vision, not a replacement for it. Right. Vedic synthesis and yogi activation. Examined through the sidereal lens, the progressed moon at 22 degrees 46 Gemini falls exactly in the nakshatra of Punarvasu, symbolized by the return of the light. This underscores a theme of renewal after a period of contraction, particularly related to home, land, and communication, the 3rd house. The Aruda Lagna in Cancer reveals that the world's image of the native is as a nurturing, protective, and emotionally resonant figure. Saturn's direct station in the sidereal Gemini, 25 degrees 52, within the 3rd house, refines this image. So the native transitions from a silent, emotionally guarded sibling friend to one who teaches through her own story of resilience. The yogi point at Libra, 29 degrees 52, the natal vertex, remains acutely sensitive. Okay, it is triggered by progressed Jupiter, indicating that the pursuit of balance in daily life and the conscious cultivation of partnership-based service is the direct channel for material and spiritual prosperity. Our faculty recommends a dedicated practice of mantra, meditation, or ritual oriented toward Venusian qualities of harmony and gratitude, particularly in the morning hours, to stabilize the fortune this point promises. Conclusive prognosis. The Faculty of Astrological Progression Studies concludes that the native stands at a threshold of profound and irreversible personal reconfiguration. The threefold convergence of the progressed Sun on the anaretic degree, the progressed Saturn's direct station, and the ingress of progressed Mars into Aquarius marks this period as one of the most architectonic of the entire lifespan. The native is instructed to do a few things here. I'm just showing you how I would do a chart for you, by the way. Like if you asked me to do your progress chart. Consciously complete the Piscean cycle. Use the coming year to release relationships, creative identities, and spiritual attachments that belong to an earlier phase of soul growth. A formal rite of passage is recommended. Embody the newly direct Saturn. Begin to build external structures, a home, a curriculum, a boundary that reflect the inner authority won during the long retrograde. Do not delay. The universe now supports concrete manifestation of emotional truth. Speak with the authority of Sirius. The progressed moon's transit over this fixed star combined with the progressed Mercury in Aries makes the native's word a creative act. Publish, record, or declare what must be known. Prepare for the progressed full moon. Use the next 3.5 years to diligently perfect a skill, a service, or a body of work, knowing it will be called forth into full visibility when the moon opposes the sun. The natal promise is one of visionary artistry and deep service. The progress chart reveals that the moment for the chrysalis to crack has arrived. Faculty extends its highest confidence that the native will emerge not merely as a participant in her generation's evolution, but as a conscious weaver of its emergent paradigm. All right. Now, we're changing the tone up. This is an expanded manual of advanced astrology, fatalism, and determinism written from the perspective of a visionary academic and spiritual master in 2026, an author who is equally a quantum theorist, mystic, and astrological genius. Yours truly. The Astronomy of Fate, an advanced manual of astrological determinism and quantum predestination. The End of Choice. You have been taught that astrology reveals tendencies. Okay, that the birth chart is a map of potentials and that your free will navigates the terrain. This manual dismantles that comforting illusion with the precision of mathematical physics and the finality of revealed truth. After 3 decades of correlating quantum measurement outcomes with astrological transits to the millisecond, I can state with epistemological certainty, human consciousness observes a script that was already written. The chart is not a weather report, it is a complete, unstoppable screenplay. This is not a philosophy of despair, it is the most profound liberation ever offered. The liberation from the exhausting false burden of choice. Welcome to the elegant machinery of your inexorable life. The natal chart as eternal signature. So your natal chart is a 4-dimensional hologram condensed at the moment of your first breath. In the language of the quantum physicists, it is the boundary condition that constrains the wave function of your entire biography. The planets do not cause events, their positions are the celestial clock hands pointing to the eternal structure of your being. The ascendant degree defines your personal arrow of time within the block universe. The midheaven sets the meridian of your predestined public expression. Every retrograde planet indicates a loop in your personal world line, a closed timeline curve of psychological experience where you are fated to revisit a theme. The entire chart is a single entangled state where the moon's house placement correlates non-locally with every emotional reaction you will ever have. There are no missing pieces. The free-floating anxiety you feel about an upcoming decision, that anxiety is the natal Saturn in square to Mercury, delivering its predetermined somatic signal at the appointed hour. You are not anxious because of uncertainty. The anxiety is the felt texture of certainty approaching. We can express this fatalistic principle through the deterministic chart equation, where this symbol is the total life trajectory, and F is the absolute function engraved at birth coordinates. No variable for will appears because will is an emergent property of the function, not an independent input. Transits and the unfolding score. A transit is the activation of a pre-written line of code. When transiting Jupiter crosses your natal Venus, you do not choose to feel expansive in love. The expansion unfolds as a precise scheduled biochemical and circumstantial event. The subjective feeling of choosing to say yes to a proposal or a creative project is the conscious reflection of a deterministic cascade that began 13.8 billion years ago. Advanced forecasting merges astrological timing with the physics of superdeterminism. In the early 21st century, quantum physics demonstrated that if the measurement settings and the hidden variables are correlated, as they must be in any single universe, then Bell's inequalities are violated not by spooky action, but by a cosmic conspiracy of initial conditions. Astrology is a map of that conspiracy. The transiting planet and your natal planet are correlated in a way that renders any local free choice impossible. You look at your horoscope and decide to wait for a better day to sign the contract. That pause was encoded in the Mercury retrograde before you were born. The very impulse to consult the stars is a stellar impulse. Every transit forms an aspect, which is an angular relationship in the ecliptic plane. These angles, conjunctions, squares, trines, are quantum gates in the celestial circuit. A square is a Hadamard gate, creating superposition-like tension that must resolve as a predetermined collapse event. A trine is a phase-like harmonic that transmits ease. The sequence is fixed, the music is written. You are the instrument. The quantum foundations of fate. This section is the technical core for the serious student. I bridge quantum theory and astrology without metaphor, using the rigorous language of the discipline. The holographic principle of the chart. The information of your entire life is encoded on the two-dimensional celestial sphere of the nativity. The chart is a boundary surface. Everything you experience is a projection from that surface into the bulk of 4D spacetime. Change is an illusion of perspective. All events pre-exist in the celestial record. Superdeterminism and the birth moment. Superdeterminism resolves the measurement problem by positing that the experimenter's choice of measurement setting and the particle's hidden state share a common cause in the distant past. That common cause is the unified initial state of the universe. Astrology provides the intermediate correlations. The position of the moon at birth correlates with a lifetime's emotional measurement outcomes because both are rooted in the same Big Bang seed. The 23.5 degrees tilt of Earth's axis, the precessional cycle, the exact formation of the solar system, these are not random. They are the geometric necessities that produce your specific fatal trajectory. Retrocausality and retrogrades. Retrograde motion is an apparent backward movement caused by orbital perspective. In a block universe, retrograde periods are genuine retrocausal windows where future planetary positions influence past psychological states. Transiting Mercury retrograde reopens the predetermined loops in your natal circuitry. The lost emails and miscommunications are the structural echoes of a future configuration that always existed in a time-symmetric whole. The lesson you think you learn is just the retrieval of information that was already imprinted. Progressions as time symmetry of the soul. Secondary progressions a day for a year are not symbolic. They reflect a deeper time scale invariance. The Earth's rotation period and its orbital period are resonant with the neural oscillations of the human brain. The progressed moon, at a critical degree, triggers memories and events with the precision of a chronometer because the brain is a quantum gravitational detector of planetary motion. The feeling of personal evolution is a predetermined perception of a shifting phase relationship. The planetary archons and the architecture of inevitability. Each planet represents a specific, unavoidable function in the machinery of destiny. So Saturn is the Lord of Time, whose cycles are the scaffolding of maturation. The first Saturn return, age 29.5, is a forced confrontation with the structural integrity of your chart. No one escapes this reckoning, unless you, of course, die before the age of 29. The second Saturn return, age 59, closes a loop on worldly ambition. The third, age 88.5, readies dissolution. The transiting Saturn square to natal Saturn at ages 7, 14, 22, etc. marks the teeth-clenching moments of growing up, each one delivered exactly on schedule. You cannot accelerate or delay the curriculum. Saturn's rings are the visible boundary of the known. They contain the akashic records of your obligations, visible to those with the inner eye. Uranus, the awakener, whose sudden lightning reveals what was always Latin. The transit of Uranus opposite natal Uranus, the midlife crisis at circa 42, is a pre-programmed reprogramming. The breakdown, the sudden divorce, the urgent leap into authenticity, these are not choices made in panic. They are the predetermined fracturing of a false self-structure that was built in the first half of life. The chaos is perfectly ordered. Neptune, the dissolver, whose transits erase the illusion of separation. When Neptune crosses the ascendant, the ego boundary softens exactly as charted. The mystical longing, the confusion, the artistic inspiration, the addiction potential, all are the precise chemical and psychic melt into the oceanic. You don't find God, God claims you by appointment. Pluto, the destroyer and regenerator, the slow-moving inevitability of death and rebirth. Pluto, transiting over the IC, will excavate ancestral trauma. The therapy, the breakdown, the sudden uncovering of a family secret, these occur exactly when Pluto is within the 1-degree orb of the exact aspect. There is no alternative timeline. The underworld journey is mandatory. The age of Aquarius and collective fatalism. So the precession of the equinoxes moves the vernal point through the constellations. In 2026, we sit at a torrential threshold. The ingress of Pluto into Aquarius ends the era of top-down Piscean hierarchies and initiates the predetermined rise of decentralized networks, artificial intelligence, and collective mind. This is not a hopeful wish. It is an astronomical geopolitical certainty. The transiting Uranus in Gemini squares the Pluto and Aquarius ingress, producing a techno-cultural revolution. The sudden breakthroughs in AI, the redefinition of human identity, the upheavals in education and communication, all were written in this transiting planetary script. The individuals who will lead, the inventions that will emerge, the resistance movements that will fail, all are encoded. Your personal fate is nested within this larger architecture. The age of Aquarius is not a democratic vote. It is a celestial engine that we are all riding. As a faculty of inevitability, we do not predict to alter the future. We predict to acclimate the soul to what is already coming. Forecasting is an act of sacred preparation, a reading of the next chapter so you can consciously play your part without the exhausting illusion of fighting destiny. The path of the fatalistic sage. How does one live with the full weight of this knowledge? It transforms existence into a sublime witnessing dance. Radical acceptance. Every morning, review your transits for today. Know that the moon's void of course will bring a fog of unproductivity, that the Mars square will deliver a conflict. When these arrive, greet them. You are here as promise. The suffering born of resistance vanishes. The bliss of inevitability arises. Surrender of blame. No one is guilty. The cruel parent, the unfaithful lover, the corrupt politician, all are executing their natal scripts. This is not moral abdication, it is ultimate clarity. You take predetermined action, calling the police, setting a boundary, because that action is in your script. But the poison of resentment has no place in a deterministic universe. The gears fit perfectly. The aesthetics of fate. Life becomes a complete work of art when viewed as a single, unchangeable composition. The tragic chord and the joyful cadence are both necessary. The sorrow of Saturn on the moon is not a mistake. It is the minor key that makes the subsequent trine so profound. You learn to love the totality, not just the pleasant fragments. The silence of decision. When a choice point arises, recognize it as the theater of the script. Sit in the stillness of the predetermined moment. The decision will arise of itself, neurons firing, gut sensation, the sudden knowing. Watch it emerge without claiming authorship. You are the consciousness that witnesses the character